I'm done watching people die. I have been since I was 12 years old. Buckle up, friends, because this isn't going to be funny like my normal content, but I promise you there's a positive ending, so stick around because I'm going to let you in on a little something we motorsports enthusiasts don't say out loud all that often. Motorsports can be blood sports. You can end up watching people die, whether you want to or not. The first time I saw death, I was 5 years old. Growing up, watching races with my dad was something I really enjoyed. He watched all the motorsports like NASCAR, drag racing, and Indy, but for us, Formula One was always the big ticket. And for me, those are the races I remember the most fondly. Let's go back to 1994, when I was just 5 years old. At this point in time, I loved watching races. I watched races with my dad all the time. I wanted to be a racing driver. It was like the most exciting thing for me. Formula One was racing in Imola that weekend. F1 fans, you probably know where this is going. It was qualifying. And I got to watch Roland Ratzenberger get hit on the head with a tire. I don't really remember watching it happen live, but I have a distinct memory of drawing that crash in crayon. I remember drawing the car with his helmet and the tire coming at it, but my 5-year-old brain couldn't really understand how a tire hitting somebody on the head could hurt them because, first of all, they're rubber, and second of all, he's wearing a helmet. So I drew like a screw or a bolt or something in between the tire and the helmet because I just assumed that that must have been what did it. And I know this might sound traumatic, but I don't think I really grasped the gravity of the situation when I was that age. I don't remember really caring all that much about it, and I don't remember thinking much about it. And going back to watch the race now, or even just thinking about it or talking about it now, it doesn't trigger anything inside me. So don't worry, this isn't something that keeps me up at night. Fast forward to 2001. I'm 12 and the Daytona 500 is on. My dad's watching it, so I decided to sit down and join him. Little did I know that Dale Earnhardt's seemingly minor crash into the wall would be the end of him. And once again, I wasn't really emotionally shook by this. It was unpleasant. I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't find it traumatic. Especially because at that age, I don't think I had developed empathy yet, thank God. But I took no pleasure in watching someone get hurt. And I knew deep down that was the last time I wanted to watch someone die on live television. I know for a lot of people, there's a morbid enjoyment to seeing people get injured or killed in sport, but I don't share it. I don't enjoy watching danger. I enjoy watching expression of skill and high-level competition. I didn't watch another race after this for a plethora of reasons, most of them being my hobbies and interests at the time, my sleep schedule at that age, and also, just in the back of my mind, whenever I thought about watching racing, I had to consider, was it worth the risk of watching something terrible happen that might take away somebody that I care about? And also, seeing it happen live just feels kind of gross. My first foray back into watching sports as an adult was StarCraft 2. Watching professionals do something at a level I could never do was very enjoyable to watch. The competition was fierce, and I loved it. I even went to a tournament as a spectator and got my PC case signed. This reminded me how enjoyable it was to watch top-level competition. After hearing about the Halo coming to F1, I was willing to give it another shot. And let me tell you, this has been a major appeal for me. I love the look of the Halo cars. I think it looks badass. I will admit, there is something lost in not being able to see the heads of the drivers bobbing around from outside the car, but the trade-off is so worth it. There have been multiple crashes in the last few years, which would have caused grievous injury and, frankly, may have caused me to question my interest in the sport. If a driver I cared about were to suddenly die or get gravely injured, I would feel a sense of loss. And frankly, I am only barely able to tolerate that kind of risk. I am far more invested in the drivers now than I was when I was a kid. And even then, I knew I didn't like watching someone's life end. I wasn't even following Formula One at the time of Michael Schumacher's skiing accident, but that still hit me. And honestly, it still does. He was a major part of my childhood. This was my brother's teddy bear from when we were growing up. He had Michael, and I had Ralph. And that's enough about that. When you consider that Romain Grosjean was able to walk out of a ball of fire after his car split in half and was lodged in the guardrails, and Joe was basically uninjured after that horrific crash in Silverstone, and Max was able to survive a 54G impact, not to mention that Lewis was able to survive Max parking his car on top of him. These are all situations that I was fully prepared for emotionally, because I knew that modern F1 cars are so safe that it was extremely unlikely that I had just watched someone's death. And every time, I was right. The confidence that modern safety features give me is the whole reason I'm able to get so invested in the drivers and the sport in general. I recently watched the 2009 and 10 seasons, and I genuinely feel a sense of loss knowing that Robert Kubica was never allowed to reach his full potential in F1 because of his injury from rallying. And frankly, that's why I can't watch Rally or MotoGP. There's just too high a risk of seeing something I don't want to see. I understand that for some people, defying the danger is enjoyable, and I can respect that for some people, the danger is the enjoyment. And while they don't necessarily enjoy seeing someone get injured or die, they understand that the excitement is higher because the danger is higher, and are therefore willing to accept the risk of witnessing grievous injury because, for them, it's worth the payoff. Well, I have no judgment for people who are willing to take that risk, but me personally, I am done watching people die, and I've known that since I was 12 years old. And it is a testament to the safety of modern Formula One cars that I'm able to be as invested in the sport as I am today. In fact, I would call this video a love letter to the Halo because it saved my F1 fandom, and for that reason alone, I think it is beautiful.